Portia, can we start with the song?
The sun is shining, nice and bright. The birds are chirping,
and I'm excited.
Time to get ready
for another day.
No one can stop us. We gonna play every day. We learn and play. We do our best, so we'll be great. You do your best,
and I don't mind.
So let's get ready. Cause it's about that time. Good morning, to you. Good morning, how do you do? Good morning, time to be great. Good morning, time to wake. Good morning,
dance and play.
Good morning,
start to say.
Good morning, open your eyes. Good morning, morning to
you. You know they can see you, Cass and Terry. You know everybody can see you right now. Good morning. You're just on the side. Just in case you didn't know, rolling out the AM wake up call coming your way. It is what's happening today. Fans of the air, be excited about your day. It's your time. It's your moment. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It is rolling out the AM wake up call.
Good morning.
Woo! What's happening? I am with Munson Steed and Romeo International, First Lady of the Wake Up Call, Rolling Out AM. Cass in the city. Put your hands up, Cass.
Good morning.
She really does have hands, everybody. You know, this box. You got to work the box, everybody. Work the box. So work the box. Everybody got to work the box. You got to work the box. Terry Shropshire, the first King James, work the box. And of course, Amir Shaw, that's it. Wake up, wake up, wake up this morning. Sun is shining nice and bright. We are getting ready for summer, and I hope everybody has changed their style. I've got a few looks that I've added to my wardrobe. One is called a mask. What's it like, Terry, adding a mask to your wardrobe? Oh, I'm sorry, Cassidy. For all those fashion aficionados, what is it and how would you describe the new mood of wearing masks? Have you actually made a famous mask for yourself?
Well, I've made a mask. We have video making a mask on rollingout.com. I don't wear that kind of mask. I actually have one that I bought. It's just like the regular white mask you put over your face. But if you don't have access to that, you can make one from simple things in your home. A lot of Black designers are making masks right now, so you can support them by purchasing a mask from them. And a lot of those donations, a lot of those proceeds are going to the frontline workers. So definitely masks are big this summer currently right now, and we don't know how long we'll have to wear one.
You said somebody already did a story on that? It's on our site?
I did a video on how to make a mask.
Okay. Can we
wash your groceries video up, Cassidy?
I am editing it. It will be up today.
Yeah, wash your
but the mask video is
clean
up
your
on
life.
The website.
You know, wear a new mask. Wear a mask that encourages. Have you bought a mask yet, Amir?
Oh, of course, bro. I had some masks laying around just because,
Don't tell them what you used to do is you crawl in those windows on the south side and had your mask. We don't want to know. We don't want to know. We don't.
Well, yeah, I definitely stay masked up when I'm out, man. I keep a mask on my face anytime I'm out. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I got you. So you haven't bought any masks yet from anybody?
Oh yeah. You got to, but the thing is, you want to keep continuing because at a certain point, you don't want to keep having the same mask over and over because it still collects germs. So you want to continue to have new masks.
Mine came with washing instructions. I kind of like mine. Mine came with washing instructions.
That brings up an interesting point. Some people, some people like to wash their mask and reuse it. I mean, is that possible? I mean, some masks can
Yeah,
be.
the cloth ones you can wash and put them in the washing machine and dry them and reuse them.
Okay.
Well, I looked up. My aunt makes them, and she sends everybody in the family new ones every like 2 weeks. So I got some
That's
design.
nice.
Well, I want anybody, thanks to Aunt, see, it's always good for people you love to have a skill set like making masks, which is great.
Mhm.
You know, it's a real skit. I think it's a wonderful thing for those. Anybody out there, share your mask with us. Cassidy would love to know and see and kind of interview you on you mask makers, you know, what you're doing. So I like that idea, but we definitely got to stay safe. Any surprises from your mask experience? Hey,
Masked up, Terry.
mask up.
Okay, Terry. You know what?
That's right. You gotta protect yourself out
King
there.
James comes through
Okay.
with the mask.
I need that visor, Terry. Where can I get a visor like that?
No, then Ted Cassidy, you should just tell Terry, send me a visor.
He might not have
Face
any more. I
shield.
need to know one. Everybody in my family one. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm totally armed up when I go to the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready for war when I go to the grocery store. So I want, because I keep people back when I go to the grocery store. So yeah, I'm all set up. I'm ready. I got I don't have my gloves, but they're here somewhere in my house. But yeah, I'm set. I'm ready to go. But
and when Terry wakes up, he puts on hand sanitizer. I really like it. We were hanging out with an epidemiologist the other day, and Terry was like, "Let me put some on just in case."
Yeah. She
Wash
said,
your hands, everybody.
So Terry, I
wash
have
your
a
hands.
question. I have a question about what's going on over there. With this mask, does it get fogged up? Like, how is it, bro? Like, is it
well,
like when you breathe?
well, the thing about it is that it gets more fogged up when I don't have the visor on, because it's just, hold on a second, get this on right here. There we go. Okay, so it gets more fogged up like this, and when I'm walking, because the air comes out the top and fogs up my
to your
glasses. Right.
Okay.
This here does not fog up my glasses, because it just doesn't. So that is just for extra protection, because this is cloth. It can get through the cloth, but the disease cannot get through this plastic except underneath. So it's just an extra layer of protection. There are no guarantees.
I like that, man. I think we need to like promote that to like all the individuals who want to protest, who want to be in the midst of so many people. I think they need that shield. Hey, bro, you on to something, man.
Yeah, I know.
He's on to something. I think you need to get one right now, Amir.
Yeah, my mom wants some. She told me to email some, but they're out. And so, but I got it at a computer store on the south side in College Park, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, for our audience members. It's still Metro Atlanta. But yeah, so I'll check again on my day. I'll check again this weekend to see if I find something. I'll let y'all know.
All right,
Sounds
good.
That's it. Mask up, everybody. Mask up.
Shout out to everybody on Facebook. Kate Stevens says Terry doesn't need a visor. He's wearing big glasses, so he should be safe.
Dr. Stevens, what are you saying? He likes, that's his look. That's his look.
Oh, I got to get a picture of this.
Oh boy, see what you've done, Doc.
Janice Simmons and Barbara Fields from Albany, Georgia is checking in. And
Janice, what's happening?
229, what's up?
What's going on? The 229, that's Slappy Drive.
All right, we're with it. Rolling out AM. Keep the faith, everybody. Keep the faith. That's a cue.
That's a cute message. Message.
They say, Q. Wake up, everybody. We are in the midst of a pandemic. I don't want anybody to forget that. We also want everybody to understand you can continue and should continue protesting in your own way. So social with the purpose is really key. The blackout was great. It was a great experience for the community to create solidarity at a moment's notice. Even with the misunderstandings, there was much more of an understanding than today. Cass, in the city?
Definitely. We discussed the blackout a little bit yesterday. I'm sure Romeo can speak more to it, but it was definitely, interesting to experience on social media. I saw a lot of my followers participate, people I followed. So it was definitely interesting to see the unity on social moment.
Yeah, well, and hopefully it encouraged more people to post with a purpose. So that way we won't see as many twerk videos this summer by,
Oh, they coming back.
There's just no shame. There's no shame. There's no shame.
And across the board, the hashtag Blackout Tuesday ended out with 128 million posts socially: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, all together. 128 million people posted all together.
That's actually incredible.
Love it. We ought to keep the faith. That's what we should do. Just for a little bit,
Message.
Trust in him. All those things. Look at your video, Terry. That was a great job with Advisor for all of you. And for those in Facebook land and Instagram land, I just wanted to take this moment during here to talk about how important masks are, the importance that we are in a pandemic, and that you stay woke. This is that moment, wake-up call, wants you to be safe. Do not relax. If you've been out, consider, getting tested, and then know all the details. Check into any of our health IQs, which are on our website, where you can really learn more about what's really going on. Do not let your guard down. This is not the moment to let your guard down. For any of those who are being enticed to do things while you're protesting, check out, what was the young lady that you interviewed yesterday? She's coming on the show, Naya.
Yeah, Naya Miranda. She's definitely a soldier out there in Los Angeles, definitely leading the charge for Black Lives Matter. She's stopping folks who the provocateurs. She's stopping them, making sure that they don't destroy in the name of Black Lives Matter. So we definitely want to shout out to that sister.
And actually, in future protesting, or the ones that are currently going on, I think there needs to be an establishment of a watch-out crew for the provocateurs who are infiltrating the movement and are causing disruption and defacing buildings or breaking in. Because there were a couple of videos. Ava DuVernay, a friend of Rolling Out, she actually posted a video on her Twitter site that saw a white man trying to blast in the door on the window of a store, and he was stopped by a group of people. He was unharmed, but he was stopped. And so there's a lot of people who are doing that. So we need to develop a crew, a watch-out crew.
Yeah, we need to have testing. People need to have tests out there for protesters.
For sure.
We need to make it mandatory if they're going to arrest people, that they do it and that they are able to be tested, because going into jail is not a place where you want to be during a pandemic. So a lot of risk with that.
We got to get tests for regular people first. Matter of fact, they have to get tests first. Now that I think about it, all together, I think if I'm not mistaken, AR, testing facilities are still low in different cities, correct?
Yeah, different cities, but Atlanta they have ramped up the Metro Atlanta area, so there are places where you can get free testing. Of course, Terry's guest from a few days ago, they talked about their testing centers, and there are several churches and religious facilities who are doing free tests. So people just need to do their research. There are definitely places where you could get a free test for COVID-19.
Yeah, you can either Google or you can go on to Instagram or check out Lisa Nicole Cloud. She used to be on Married to Medicine. Her and her husband, who's an emergency room physician, they have a site, website that you can find on their Instagram, and then find the churches and the facilities that you can go around the list of the facilities where you can get a free test.
I think we need to have those links, Cassidy, today on rollingout.com so people can know and just put in. So let's do that.
Okay.
You know, we are a resource at rollingout.com. We've got phenomenal, I love that word, information, great information, accurate information, so that you can do it. We've had great health IQs, and obviously every night on the news show, we've been able to host, and the kindness of Dr. Kenyatta Stevens, she has provided the entire community, the Black community, has an epidemiologist, a Howard grad, who believes in getting the true facts out to our community. I just want to spend a little time. I don't want people to forget that it is a pandemic. Like, you know, when that young brother there literally got the corona, everybody doesn't have an automatic test. So if he hadn't come back and they weren't testing, he would have never known and could have infected an entire football team. So be careful, everybody. Looks like summer is going to include the corona. So all those facts about cold kills corona, not true.
Yeah, and exactly. And I'm happy for Dr. Stevens, the medical connoisseur, who basically said that we may have a second wave come much earlier than anticipated because of the unexpected protests. It just happened out of nowhere. But because of the mass gatherings in multiple cities, we might have a second wave this summer. So it is imperative that we, you know, when we get out there and we fighting for our rights, which we agree and we advocate, that you do it smartly and with common sense. Wash your hands for 20 seconds at least with soap and hot water. And, you know, be OCD, as she said, on hand sanitizers. And then keep your distance and wear a mask, wear gloves.
And maybe keep the faith. Is that a cue?
Message.
Question is, when you're standing at a crossroads, what do you do?
What do you do, King James?
When a fork is in the road, what do you do? When the world is on your shoulders, what do you do? When your back is up against the wall, what do you do? What do you do? You hold on and keep the faith.
Keep the faith, Cassidy.
Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Where do you go when there's nowhere else to go? Where do you turn when there's nowhere else to turn? Where do you look when there's nowhere else to look? What do you do when there's nothing else to do? You're in the master's hands, and the master has a plan. Hold
on, Cat. Hold on.
Hold on. And keep the faith.
Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Thank you very much. We have kept the faith. We kept the faith. Just want to add a little inspiration for all of you. Rolling out in the morning, the wake-up call. It is a great morning here on Thursday. Mask up!
I couldn't let Terry just show out by herself, y'all. I couldn't let Terry show out by herself. My aunt made me a mask. One of my favorite cartoon animals is Monkey See, Monkey Do, and she actually put it all over the mask. So this is what I'm rocking right now.
Shout out to the aunt. Why don't you give her a shout out? What's her name?
Much love. Let's go to Cass's report. Hey, Cassie, can you bring us in?
Hey, yeah, nice mask, Romeo. Thank you for sharing. So we're going to get into this report. I have some exciting things to share with you. Obviously, we've been heavy on Black Lives Matter and the movement that's going on. So a lot of celebrities, like we've been discussing, are speaking out using their platform. Megan Thee Stallion posted on her Instagram, you know, she wants people to remember Breonna Taylor and to say her name. Obviously, Breonna Taylor was in Louisville, Kentucky, and they went into her house, went in into the wrong house and, killed her. So Megan Thee Stallion wanted people to say her name in this moment because tomorrow, Friday, June 5th, would be her 27th birthday. So we want to make sure, that we don't forget Breonna Taylor in this moment. Obviously, we've been protesting because of George Floyd and, his killing at the hands of the police in Minneapolis. But we also want to make sure we keep pushing for Breonna Taylor so that we can make sure there's justice for her as well. So I appreciated Megan Thee Stallion, doing that and making sure that her followers are engaged. Up next, we have, I believe, Star Wars actor John Boyega. If we can pull that up. Romeo, you probably know him very well. Anyone who's a fan of Star Wars and that, series and everything. He's a British Nigerian actor. He obviously is living in London right now. And so, like we've been seeing, they're having protests around the world. And John Boyega spoke out. He took his Instagram a couple of days ago, and really let his fans know that he was absolutely not that's going on right now, killing of Black people. And he is using his voice and speaking out very loudly. So, we can play this video. This was in Hyde Park, a protest in London. And he was just discussing like not raising our kids, our Black kids, that discriminates them and so forth. So you can play that video.
Balanced and healthy life. Yes. This is it. We are a physical representation of our unity. Yes. It's very important at this time that we stick together in mind, in spirit, and in body. Yes. Because guess what? I'm 28 years old. Black children into a world that hates them. We will not bring Black children into a world that discriminates against them. We're not going to bring Black people into a world that likes to silence them and take the mick out of their existence. Today is the day that we stand, we walk. It's not about career. It's not about money. It's about your right to live as a human being. Our memories.
Man, that's awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah, it is. And it's good to see, unfortunately, technical difficulties. We've lost Cass just for a brief moment. But yeah, it's good to see that the celebrities are stepping up and using their vast platforms and also digging into their pocketbooks. I mean, people like Rihanna, man, she is just doing it. She is not only the queen of music right now, she is the queen of philanthropy. I mean, she's building schools and restoring places in Africa and the Caribbean. She's given already $5 million to coronavirus, the fight against coronavirus. And now she's given money, and supporting this movement with George Floyd in Minneapolis. So shout out to all of the celebrities. She mentioned Megan Thee Stallion. So there's a lot of people out there who are using their platform to help advance this cause. So I appreciate them very much. Shout out to all of them.
Yeah, and shout out to everybody who is checking in from Facebook. Before I go into my report, hey fellas, question: do you think that these celebrities speaking out, do you think that it will affect their career?
Well, I actually got a
Sorry
chance
about
to
that. Y'all, I'm having some technical difficulties, but if you guys could see that video, obviously he was just speaking to everything that's going on, across the world, injustices that happen in London, racial injustices, police brutality, and everything. So he's obviously just using his platform. I don't know if you guys were discussing while I was offline, but forgive me for that.
We were, and you crowbarred your way back in. But you know what?
Yeah.
That is the Cass way. That is the Cass way. You know what I'm saying? You gangster, man. Cassidy is quiet, but she gangster. You know, she gangsters move in silence, and that's Cassidy.
I appreciate it, y'all, holding it down.
So to bring you up to speed, Romeo basically put out the question: Will actors who or celebrities who protest during these moments, will it affect their career? Particularly someone like Boyega, if I'm pronouncing his name right. He you know, him being a part of a big franchise like Star Wars, that could definitely have some impact.
Right. And he actually said, you know, in these multiple videos that if people didn't support what he was doing and it affected his career, so be it. You know, he's kind of at that point in his Blackness and in his truth that if you don't want to work with him because of, you know, his belief.
Got you.
And him supporting this cause.
Yes, he's one of our senior writers. He's actually on the air right now on the AM show that we do. So what was the call about?
So
that was me. That was me, ladies and gentlemen. I was just
there has an upset stomach.
Among my many talents, I'm a ventriloquist with a stomach ache. So my stomach was growling just now.
Absolutely. So basically, back to that, he just basically said, you know, so be it. If franchises, if, you know, people don't want to hire him because of his beliefs, then he doesn't want to work with them anyway. So that's kind of where he stands on this currently. You know, rounding out my report, I was going to show you guys Trey Songz just released a new song called How Many Times, obviously about these same issues, police brutality, injustice, and he premiered it on D-Nice's Instagram Live. So we can, you know, play that little clip.
Just gotta get some things on my chest. Tough times, I hope y'all holding up.
New song from Trey Songz.
Always is, but I'm feeling like this.
How many mothers have to cry? How many brothers gotta die? How many more times? How many more times? How many more marches? How many more signs?
So this was just a, you know, a little snippet, but D-Nice went on to play the entirety of the song. And obviously, you know, he lists out just simple acts that we talk about all the time, like going for a run, obviously with Ahmaud Arbery, just being in your home and all these different things and ways that Black people have been killed just by doing everyday activities. You know, he continues to say, you know, he discusses protests, he discusses marches, mothers crying, our brothers dying. So what do you guys think about this? D-Nice kind of said this was an anthem for, you know, the movement and what's going on right now. And this is different than anything I've ever heard Trey Songz do. And I really appreciated this. You know, he really he went on to discuss with D-Nice how he came about, you know, doing this song, watching everything that's going on. He even went out to the protests to kind of, you know, get the feel and the energy of the movement to go back and produce this. So I thought this was really interesting that Trey Songz is using his, you know, creative spirit and his music in this way.
Very well.
Yeah. I think it's definitely important for artists to speak during these moments. If you go to the 60s, I mean, there's like a playlist of anthems and songs that talk about the movements that was happening during the 60s and the 70s. We like today, we don't really have as many songs as I would like. I think Trey Songz putting that out would definitely inspire others to follow suit to kind of speak to these moments, and it's definitely a good idea for him to be a leader at this moment.
Definitely.
James Brown, I'm Black and I'm proud.
James Brown, you go Curtis Mayfield, you got Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, Temptations, Ball of Confusion. Like, it's so many protest songs from the 60s and the 70s that spoke to that time. It's like, we want our artists today to speak to those, to this moment right here, like the Black Lives Matters moment. I mean, we got a lot of twerking, we got a lot of trap, but we still need to focus on like what's happening with Black people and racial injustices.
And speaking of focus, we got your organic flow in the building.
Carrie, welcome.
Carrie, what's up in the D?
You know, it's going down in the D. It's protests every day in the D. And, you know, speaking of the D, we have one of my favorites on the phone, on the line, Diane Bondi.
Welcome.
my
To the
Hi.
ADM.
Guys,
Welcome to the
Thank
ADM.
you. Grateful to be here.
There's racism in the yoga industry, and Diane has been addressing that even before the Black Lives Matter movement started. So I am really grateful she could come on here with us today to talk about what we've experienced in that industry, and also how that affects us on and off of the yoga mat. Just our long history of systemic injustices. So Diane, thanks for being here with us this morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm hopeful, right? I'm hopeful. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm a little exhausted, but I'm interested in the current tipping point, where we are in the world and how that is going to continue moving forward. One of my concerns with this current uprising is that this might be a trend, and in 3 months, 6 months, a year, we might fall back into old patterns. And how do we keep the momentum going around the conversations that Black Lives Matter, and how do we keep that going and centered and focused now that we're saying it out loud and less people are giving us pushback and more people are stepping up into and I'm kind of tired of this word, to be honest, into their wokeness. I think there could be a better word around exactly how they contribute to white supremacy in their everyday lives and their everyday existence.
So how do you even do that? Just yesterday, we were on the Michigan Yoga Connection in the Facebook group, and a white woman shared an article about how to not be a Karen, basically, and how to have empathy for your Black yoga students at this time. And she brought up about how her mother was raped by Black men, and it was a lot of false equivalencies there. And it's like, how do you even start to educate and teach white people about white supremacy on and off the mat? It's not even our responsibility, but how do you do that and stay peaceful in yoga spaces?
Well, it's funny because I've been having this conversation in yoga spaces for about a decade, and I've been doing it since before it was, I guess, trendy or interesting, or anybody else was, addressing it. Because when I came to the yoga mat, I was the only person of color. I was the only woman of size. Every single yoga celebrity or person who was making any real money teaching yoga was the absolute standard of European beauty, right? Looked like a fitness model, talking a lot of spiritual garbage, if you will, and not actually following through. What I would say to that is one of the tenets of yoga is self-study. And for those of us who are looking to change the narrative, we have to look at ourselves first. We have to go and look at how we show up in the world, how we participated. I mean, these are hard things, and people don't want to do this, because the minute you recognize that you've been participating in white supremacy, that you've done things that have been bigoted or racist towards other people, maybe knowingly or unknowingly, you go down this rabbit hole where you're like, oh my God, I'm a bad person. And I don't want people to take that narrative on. I want people to take on the idea like, I have been taught this. I've been raised in a system that has taught me these things. How do I unlearn these things? We know that bigotry, racism, all those things are learned behaviors. How do I unlearn those behaviors and then apply what I have learned to deconstructing white supremacy? You cannot come on the yoga mat here and spout to me that we are all one in breath and that I see you. You bow to me and say namaste, which literally means the light in me sees the light in you, and then go out into the world and not acknowledge how you participate in systems of oppression and not try to change your behavior. Don't say namaste to me. Don't roll out your mat next to me. Don't talk to me about your spiritual mumbo jumbo if you are not going to do the work of figuring out who you are, what you believe, why you believe it, and how you continue to show up in spaces, and what you're going to do to leverage your privilege to change it for the rest of us. Don't come to me and tell me anything, because I'm not interested in your brand of spirituality.
That was a word. That was a word this morning.
Sorry, I just got my feelings because apparently people who do these spiritual practices may have not read the Bhagavad Gita, where it teaches us we have
a warrior.
Yes, and people got their heads cut off in that war. Yes. I'm telling you, There was violence and protest within the Bhagavad Gita. And if you cannot align that with what you see going on in the world, you don't get it. You're not woke. Sit down. Take several seats. Let somebody else speak. That was my Amanda Seales impersonation. Was it good?
We love you, Amanda. And she's also been encouraging Black people to breathe at this time, to be mindful at this time, so we can practice some healing practices while we're being inundated with watching what's happening to us all around the country.
And I'm requests for what, people reaching out constantly to ask us what they should be doing. Right?
Yeah, I have a question, Diane.
Sure.
But first of all, I wanted to address the spiritual garbage, because that's like an oxymoron. You know what I'm saying? It's like the two don't belong in the same sentence. If they're spewing that negativity and that racism and that garbage, then it has nothing to do with spirituality, in my opinion. But what I wanted to, the question I wanted to ask was the fact that when you do encounter these things, because I'm a large man, I'm 230, almost 6 feet. And when I go to Starbucks, when I go out into the public, I'm always eyed upon, and I don't want to absorb anymore that negative energy. So how do I breathe and flush my body of that negativity and the toxins? You know what I'm saying? When I encounter that negative energy coming towards me, because all eyes are on me when I go into Starbucks downtown, when I go into Chick-fil-A downtown, when I go to anywhere where there's predominantly white people, all eyes on me, and I'm aware of it. And I don't want to absorb it anymore. So how do you respond to that kind of a question?
That's so super interesting. There's a lot of energy forces and fields around us. And if you've ever sat really quietly and just let your eyes go out of focus, have you ever done that and things kind of have a hazy glow around them? Has anybody ever had that experience where you're maybe halfway awake and halfway asleep and your eyes aren't really focused and there's a hazy glow around you? You can invoke that power of protection around you. And another thing we can do that we don't do is we can call on our ancestors around us. So my grandma's floating over here, my great grandma's floating over here, my grandfather's over here, and they're around us in what I consider perhaps an alternate universe. And I can invoke them for protection because they have brought us this far forward already. Their stories, their lives, their energy, their struggles have brought us all to where we are in this pivotal moment today. And they're still here behind us. So whenever I feel unsafe in predominantly white spaces, I invoke that energy. I ask for the universe to surround me in white light and energy so that I repel whatever is coming at me. I'm also one of these people that wears a lot of crystals. I know not everybody's into that, but in your cell phone here, your cell phone is made out of quartz crystal. That's the energy conductor in all of the things that we're playing with today. And you can put those things on your body to help you absorb more positive energy, because that's the truth. These things, these crystals and things are all in all of our electronics that are moving energy through us so that we can talk to each other on the internet, and we can invoke that spirit. We can invoke our ancestors. We can ask for protection, because we would have been snuffed out long ago if that energy wasn't behind us, because we know that we've been fighting for our lives since the moment we stepped on Turtle Island in 1619. We've been fighting for our life for that long. And if they had an opportunity, they would have snuffed us out already. But we are powerful, and we have to pull on that power from our ancestry and from our own breath. And whenever you're in that space, just root down through your feet, spread your toes in your shoes, take a deep breath, and tell yourself, I deserve to be here. I'm okay to be here, and put that cone of white light around you.
What do you have? What do you have for us today? Because as a young guy, the world is on 1,000 right now. The world is on 1,000. Everybody, every movement, every word, every tweet, every Instagram post, like, is on 1,000. How? What techniques do you guys have that can help us center?
Turn off the internet for a bit. Turn it off for a bit, like step back from it for a little bit, because it's going to be overload. And for me, when I'm constantly consuming both negative and positive through this medium, I become super anxious. So I think it's really, really important to take a step back. And again, ground your feet, root down through your feet, close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths and get centered. And again, pull on that energy around you because you know that your ancestors are surrounding you. We are not here alone. If you're feeling particularly stressed out about it, reach out to other people in the community so we can fortify each other. Carrie and I had a long conversation a couple days ago, and that lifted me up. I had a conversation with a friend of mine who runs a Women of Color collective in I believe she's in California. She reached out to me yesterday and we spoke to our experiences and we talked about our collective experiences and we elevated each other in that moment, just stepping out of this constant negativity and this constant onslaught of images and stepping back into your community and remembering that we have that connection there as well and drawing from that connection to fortify ourselves because it's rough and you can't keep consuming it because it will eventually pull you down. You need to step back. And then you need to put up boundaries. Like people constantly coming at you, you need to say, I just can't. No is a complete sentence.
Okay. Well, we have a moment for us to go through a one minute breathing exercise. If you could teach us, because actually this will go along with what the theme of what you've been talking about today. So can you take us through one?
Absolutely. All right. So go ahead and root down through your seat. Bring your feet flat to the floor and spread your toes, whether they're in shoes or maybe on the floor. And then sit up nice and tall. Pull the tips of your shoulder blades together so your heart is lifted and your rib cage is expanded. Now close your lips and breathe through your nose slowly. Breathe in for a count of 2 and breathe out for a count of 4. So let's try that together. Inhale for 1 and 2 and exhale for 4, 3, 2, and pause. Inhale for 1 and 2. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, and keep going with your own measure of your breath. Let's do 3 more. One more. Deep breath in through the nose. And then exhale everything out through the mouth with a big sigh. Let it go. And I want you to remember that breath. Longer exhalations, shorter inhalations is a way to relieve anxiety and stress. So when you're standing in Starbucks and all eyes are on you, root down through your feet, come to your breath. Longer exhalations than inhalations will help bring that central nervous system back into balance.
I'm armed for Starbucks now.
We got it. We got this.
Well, we appreciate
Thank you for
coming
that.
up to rolling out the wake up call. And before we let you go, we really want a spiritual affirmation. I really love the ancestor reference so that we know that we have those around us, so that your prayers are being answered and that we are surrounded in a spirit that will allow you to transform at any moment. Thanks so much to Carrie for bringing more truth to what we have on the wake up call, which obviously isn't just to say get up, but hopefully it's a wake up call for everyone to continue their mission and their passion and their practice. So for most people, we need a little bit of practice as it relates to the idea of affirming ourselves each day and the fact that we do matter and the fact that we are in part of our transition. So can you give us a 1 minute affirmation that we can take through our day and give people an idea of why affirmations are important for them so that they start their day affirming who and what they are?
I think affirmations are amazing. And why they're important is that they reset the narrative, right? Because the constant narrative has been that we're not worthy, and that our entire existence on this planet is to prove our humanity to the dominant culture. So that has been what has been bestowed upon us since the beginning of time. So if we could, we've been taught through our society that we're not worthy. So we need to change the narrative in our own minds, right? That's our work as Black people, African Americans, Black people across the world. This is our story that we get to retell. So not only does the affirmation change the narrative, it allows us to tell our own stories. So for me, I think a narrative should be, or an affirmation should be, personal to you. So I want you to sit for a moment, close your eyes, everybody, if you feel comfortable doing that, or maybe stare down at your keyboard or find a place where you can set your gaze. And I want you to think about what it is that makes you powerful, what it is that makes you connected, what it is that makes you feel valuable. And I want you to put that into your own sentence. I want you to find that for yourself. For me, what I like to say is, I am enough, I do enough, I have enough, I am powerful, and I deserve to be here. And those are the things that I say to myself on a daily basis. Before I even roll out of bed, I lay in my bed, I open my eyes, I look up to the sky, and I say to myself, I have enough, I do enough, I am enough, I deserve to be here, I am powerful. And whatever combination that I'm feeling within that day is what I say to myself. So I would say to you and the listeners here, get yourself one of those index cards, write out your affirmation, tape it on the mirror in the bathroom, put it on your steering wheel of your car, put it on the dashboard of your car, and repeat it to yourself constantly, because we need to have that be our shield to deflect the negativity and the constant narrative that we don't deserve to be here, and that paying for cigarettes with a counterfeit $20 bill means that you get to be killed. So we need to continue to say that's not right, and we deserve to be here, and we've contributed so much to the existence and to humanity and to this culture and to civilization, and we get to stand in that power too.
Well, thank you so much for coming and rolling out the wake-up call. Obviously, Carrie, great to see you. Power for everyone. Love the affirmation. We are definitely enough. We've had enough. We're more than enough. And we need to be respected enough every single day. So peace to you. Namaste. I'm going to lay down my yoga mat next to you and Carrie one day when we can get together. But just wanted to say thank you again for rolling out the wake up call. So we're coming on. Peace to everybody. Thank you so much. We love you, love you, love you, love you. All right. It is that time, all the way from MSP, rolling out the wake up call. It is Lewis King. What's happening, Lewis? What's happening? All right, it is not Lewis. Lewis is not here. It is Cass in the City and Romeo and Terry Shropshire, who needs coffee. Hey.
No, I can get my coffee in a minute, but I just wanted to say that I just like you, Munson, I thought that was powerful, that was needed. I think that we go through this every day. It doesn't matter if you're a big Black man or a small Black woman. We all feel the negative energy when we go into spaces where we're not wanted, and we want to repel that energy. We want to feel protected, and we want to feel that we are not only enough, but that we can repel the negative energy that's coming to us and not absorb it and affect our day and our lives. So that was much needed. Thank you, Carrie, for bringing her on.
Yeah, definitely. And we don't think.
Hey, Brittany,
Hello.
take that mute off your phone. Welcome to Rolling Out the Wake Up Call. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Come on.
Morning.
Good.
We ready for you to give us a beat on Wash Your Hands. Tell everybody where you're coming in from, who you are. Give us the 2-minute, 1-minute version.
Rundown of myself.
Yeah, you know what it is.
Yeah.
Then you can drop the mic a little bit after you rock the mic a little bit, So don't be shy. We know you're always practicing in the mirror.
Nah. So hello everybody. My name is Brent Crockett. From North Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm the Best Buy Teen Tech Center coordinator. That's a mouthful. But I work in a program where it's based around our organization, Summit Academy, has teamed up with Best Buy and the Clubhouse Network to expose young people to more access to technology. And that's based around film production, music production, coding, you name it, anything in
App
technology.
production.
We're trying to apply it and get young people to become more creators and innovators of that space opposed to just consumers.
Beep, 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 beep,
Yeah.
beep. Y'all ain't trying. Y'all putting it down.
Yeah, we ain't
Y'all
trying. We doing
love
it,
it, man. Come on.
So yeah, that's my position. That's my role, and it's amazing. It's especially in times like this. It's definitely needed. We definitely need more of our voices being represented in these spaces that are being overtaken by other media outlets and other agendas. So it's been crazy, as you can imagine, here in the space and in the state, but it's also been uplifting and had its like triumphs too. So
who you rocking on your t-shirt?
Oh, Nipsey Hussle, of course.
Yeah. What?
Yep.
R.I.P. Nipsey Hussle, my man.
Yep.
So what was it like when Summit Academy tapped you to be the lead on this? And Louis King. What's your Louis King? Have you done an impression yet?
No, I haven't done an impression. I haven't tried to do an impression of Louis. That's a tough person to do an impression of. But it's when I found out about the opportunity to, combine young people with technology, because you always hear people speak of young people and technology in a negative way. They're like, they're always on their phones, they're always on social media, they're always this. And it's like, yeah, they are. So let's try to cultivate them in the way that they're already there. If they're already there, then that means we're late to the party and we're not there trying to help them continue to grow that space, because we don't own Instagram, we don't own Facebook, we don't own Twitter, we don't own none of these outlets, yet we are the mass majority on them. So how can we show young people that, hey, you like Instagram, right? And at one point there wasn't an Instagram. So how do you create the next Instagram? How do you create the next? You see it, you might, like right now, we have a lot of I've talked to a lot of young people that are upset with how the reports on the protests are going and things like that. And that's another thing that I love about my position. A lot of people believe that young people don't know what's going on, or they assume that they're not in tune, and that's not true neither. So trying to be the resource and the connection for the young people to be able to show their voices and use their voices. A lot of times people want to speak on the behalf of young people, and I'm just in the space, in the place where it's like, I'm here to help create the platform for them to speak. I'm not here to speak for them. So that it's really, and Louis knows, that's what I always tell people. Like, adults are cool, but I love young people. Like that's my bread and butter. They're always gonna keep it real. They don't hold no punches. They ain't got nothing to lose. They're not as domesticated as some of us. Like they're completely, their minds are open, and they've been the front leaders of a lot of changes in history. So for me, it's just been a great opportunity, and I'm lucky. I mean, I don't look a day over like 16 or 17, right? Because black don't crack. But at the end of the day, I'm 30 years old, and at this point I realize all the little rappers and I'm not in tune with everybody, but they are, and that's right. The beauty of it. They really in these streets. Like we be in these streets, but they really in these streets. So just trying to keep their voices heard and make sure that there's spaces and places for them to go during times like this. I think it's been rough, but having those relationships has really helped.
I love it.
Definitely.
Love it.
Yeah.
I definitely love MSP at this moment. It's got national attention.
Yeah.
And so now you've got young people with technology in their hands. How are they posting for a purpose? What should the world know that young people want to say at this moment? Because 30's young.
Yeah.
30's young. It's young. It's young. And people should respect that. I think of nothing else. But what are young people saying in MSP?
I mean, I think they're saying a lot of different things. They're disappointed in obviously the outcome and the turnaround of the people that are supposed to be able to protect and serve us. They are not serving us, and they're not protecting us. And when I speak of that, I speak of the Minneapolis Police Department, and a lot of a lot of the things that are affected by youth, which is our parks or our schools, have cut ties with them. If you guys haven't seen on the news, a lot of people have been cutting the funding that they gave or the partnerships that they had with Minneapolis police. So I feel like the young people are kind of saying that they've had enough, that they're tired of the excuses. They're tired of seeing people that look like them, whether that's older, younger, or same age, being the complete opposite of what's we're said, which is protection. And even with 30 being young, like you bringing that up, like I'm realizing myself being a young person that like a lot of our kids don't believe they'll see 21, don't believe they'll see 18. So 30 does seem like a milestone because you don't get to make it like to 30. And especially with the, whether it's through music or their posts or whatever they're saying, like I believe that there's a lot of hope and a lot of, you know, belief that things can be changed because we do have these platforms now where it's not done. It's right in front of us. Like you can't stop everybody from pulling out their cell phone and recording. You can't stop people from posting their statuses as much as they try to, you know, censor us on any of these things. It's like people are getting exposed to it at a crazy rate. So I feel like, you know, and they're organizing. A lot of the young people that I've spoke to are trying to organize. And when I say that, they're thinking of ways to, you know, get resources to give to other people in their community, or how can they volunteer, or how can they, you know, come in, whether that's just helping an elder in the community keep their yard clean or whatever, or helping clean up our communities that are being destroyed. Like I've really heard so many different angles, like it's all the Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, the little leadership, the little Malcolm X's, the little Martin Luther King's, the little Angela Davis, all of them are starting to come out. And I think like it's important to just continue to be like, how can I support you at this time? Because it is affecting us and it is going to affect us, but they're the ones that are really going to be affected by these next round of voting and this next round of like, which I don't even want to talk about. I don't even think we have a president in my honest opinion, but it's like that they're seeing something that is history. And that's for myself. I remember my grandmother, you know, talking to me about civil rights and talking to me about movements and things of that nature. But I think we're still coming to realization that like it's happening right here in our backyard and it's real. Like we're seeing white nationalists, we're seeing white supremacists, we're hearing about this. No, it's no longer over there. It used to be like, oh, remember slavery or remember segregation or remember the KKK. It's like none of those things are ghosts anymore. They're completely fully live in our city. And I think the young people are also showing they're not afraid, because people are saying go home, people are saying stay home. And like I said, we're in the middle of a civil war that has been set up in the middle of a pandemic on top of that, right? So it's like there's a lot of different things coming at young people right now, but I think they've shown they're diligent and they're not going to give up. And I'm all about that. I can't tell, I tell people, I can't tell young people what to do. I can just ask them, how do they want to be helped in this time?
Beautiful. So to see young people and Summit Academy and Best Buy coming together, creating a future in tech for young people there, what do you think about that? And how does that give them hope with at least Summit leadership and Best Buy looking and pouring into the future in technology?
I think it gives them the idea that their stories matter and not just a one-way side of the story, right? Like a lot of these, there's jobs and there's careers and opportunities that are out there that are not being, we're not able to apply for, or we're not represented in those spaces because we don't even know that they exist, or we don't even know the training aspect. Like, even though I tell people we have a recording studio, like the only job in the music industry is not being in front of the camera rapping. Like there's a lot of other opportunities for you to be. There's a lot of things that you can learn, whether that's how to track records, how to produce records, how to be the person that helps the person that produces records. Like there's so many different lanes of opportunity. Same with film and production. Like there's people that do the writing of scripts. There's people that everything's not always you in front of the camera, you the star, and those things happen maybe one in a lifetime, right? But like all these other opportunities, these directors, that stuff's happening every day for us. Do you know what I mean? Like we're seeing more representation of us in these spaces where we weren't represented before. So I think for young people just seeing like, hey, and they're not getting half quality technology. Like this is the same stuff. If you went to a school for music or you went to a school for film, you get the same access. You're like getting a start and it's free. So I always tell them like, y'all are entrepreneurs. A lot of the demographic that we serve, a lot of them are trying to figure out ways how to economically change their situations. So it's like, hey, if you come and create a logo on our Adobe suite, and then you press up a shirt where you put something like your brand right here, you can sell that to your peers. And then we get to teach you how to be an entrepreneur. We teach you about supply and demand. We teach you about creating things that are long-standing, not just, hey, this is something you create, you take home, you show your family, they smile, and that's the end of it. And that's the thing. Like I wanted to cultivate beyond the space. Like, although we stopped at 18, I want to be in line for the next time. If something like this happens, our people should be out there. And that could be young people telling the stories of what's really happening, opposed to, having to be forced to watch these same outlets because that's all that's being supported. So I think that's really the focus. And especially in a time like this, where you see voices not being elevated, I think it's going to push them even more and give them another sense of seriousness, because we have these outlets like CNN's cool, but people are watching a lot more than CNN. People are watching Twitter the same way. They're watching Instagram the same way. They're watching all these outlets, YouTube the same way. So I think them seeing that, like, there's no, that gatekeeper, they gone. They not here no more. So
if you had to explain to someone why they should come to the Summit Academy Best Buy, what would be your elevator 30-second speech?
My elevator.
You got to start with the reason to come to Summit Academy Best Buy is.
Okay. The reason to come to.
You got to say your name so that everybody.
Okay, you want me? Okay.
This little commercial right now. I'm directing this commercial. You're starring in it, and we're actually putting it together.
Okay.
Action.
My name is Brent Crockett, and you should come to the Best Buy Teen Tech Center Summit Academy, because we have resources for your young people to utilize to be able to create and cultivate the next space in the future. We all understand that technology is pushing the way, and we also understand that our demographic, people of color, don't have access to all those ways. So if you come to the Best Buy Teen Tech Center, we can get the middleman out the way, and we can start to create and innovate in these spaces that we already overpopulate. So come to the Best Buy Teen Tech Center. It's free. It doesn't cost you a thing. And who knows?
Bam! So nice to meet you. Thank you so much. From MSP, you are such a guiding light. We appreciate what you do at Summit. We appreciate just who you are as a person. Continue to be a change agent for good, and know that we love you here at Rolling Out. Anything else, Romeo? You want to give a solid shout out?
No, I appreciate you coming on, and I know we have to wrap right now, but I definitely appreciate you 100%. A lot of people from Facebook are checking in saying they love you and they appreciate the message that you're dropping, especially Jamaica Lynch. She said she agrees with you 100%.
Well, I appreciate you guys for having me and sharing this platform with us too.
All right. Rolling out the wake up call, Rolling Out AM. Appreciate you. Shout out to Lewis and Best Buy for a great collaboration for the children of MSP and their whole tech district. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Love. Yep. All right, you guys, we are going next to. We are going next to. All right, we'll go to R. How about your report? Is that queued up and near and close and dear? Romeo, it's your turn.
The suspense is killing me.
It is.
Are we ready now? Because I don't know where we at today, but this is where we about to be. One time, everybody, welcome this morning to Rolling Out AM Wake Up, your social report. In your social report, shout out to Keke Palmer. She spoke in protest yesterday, asking the National Guard to join protesters to march beside us. In this message, you can actually see it on rollingout.com. Story written by the beautiful Miss Cassidy City, First Lady of Rolling Out, and you'll be able to check out that message as well. Next on the docket, Drake, that's right, Mr. Canadian himself. Drake supports Black families in America. 100,000 will support Black mothers and caregivers amid COVID-19 pandemic. Drake decided that he is going to make sure that the word gets out about masks and sanitizers and taking care of yourself during the COVID pandemic. And shout out to Drake for that, for music industry is really stepping up. Next on the docket though, shout out to Luda. Ludacris posted this yesterday on his IG. There was a protest in NYC, and in this protest, the people started chanting. You get play button. That's right, man. NYC said, we ain't doing no curfew. Y'all need to move. Y'all don't have other word and get out the way because we don't have time for that right now. And Luda found that to be so entertaining that he shared it with his fans. And last but not least, this is the funniest video. And on top of that, I heard that the U.S. national track team is trying to find this young man. Play the video. Producer, y'all need to see this. And you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me tell you something,
he dipped on them.
You saw 6 police officers, and as soon as that last handcuff came off, he was gone. He was gone to the point where you can see the dust. Not only did you see the dust kick up, but the police officers said, you know what? We all right today. So shout out to everybody, man. I just needed to bring some light, man. Terry, what you got up next, man?
We got a lot going on, man. A lot of people are getting canceled these days, and it's becoming from their own. People are canceling themselves by what they choose to say. LeBron James and many other prominent athletes blast NFL legend Drew Brees for hitting on peaceful kneeling before the flag. In an interview that he did just yesterday, Drew Brees said that it is disrespectful to the United States of America and our country. I don't know why he had to say both of them. That's superfluous. But anyway, he said it's disrespectful to both the USA and our country to kneel before the flag because when he thinks about the flag, he thinks about his grandfathers who fought in the wars, as if black men did not fight alongside his grandfathers in those same wars and then returned to the United States to the same disrespect and to the same type of police brutality and racism that his grandfathers never received. And as a matter of fact, many of the people that fought, many of the black men and women that fought in the wars were treated worse than the Nazis who were captured. So the blacks still had to sit in the back while the Nazis were treated with more respect than the black people who fought against them, who fought for America. So yeah, LeBron and a lot of them, including Richard Sherman, got on Drew Brees, and he's now, just a few minutes ago, it showed that he had to apologize and that he missed the mark. Well, duh, you know you missed the mark because he didn't say anything about George Floyd. He didn't say anything about Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, or police brutality, or any of the type of the indignities we face on a daily basis. So he's getting his just desserts, and he's scrambling. He's moonwalking like Michael Jackson back his comments. So anyway, that was what we're thinking on one subject. In more news that's going on today, speaking of cancellations, Trina's canceled. I mean, she's canceled. I mean, my goodness, Twitter torched Trina's tresses after calling looters and protesters animals. She got on a radio show down in Miami with Trick Daddy, her longtime collaborator. And on the radio show, she said that the 9 p.m. curfew was not good enough, that they need to go ahead and institute a 6 p.m. curfew. Because she said that the protesters were fake, they didn't really care about George Floyd, and that the looters are animals. She likened them all the animals who were running as if they just got out of the zoo. And so even though Trick Daddy tried to walk her back and tried to save her from embarrassment, she continued and she doubled down on it and said, hey, I got the time today. I'm saying what I'm saying. I said what I said. They're animals. They need to clean the streets and that they're wrong. So Twitter had a field day torching her tresses. So, yeah. But in more news that was going on in America today, Lauren London, and this is a sad fact, but it is the reality. Lauren London, who we know is a famous actress who played the ATL and The Game, including other television shows and movies, who lost legendary life partner Nipsey Hussle last year. She said that she has to take time out to instruct her sons on how to interact with the police and what to do when they are confronted with the police or stopped by the police. So this is just a sad reality, but shout out to Lauren London for being a realist and not living in some fantasy world about, well, this is how we should be treated. She's talking about how we are treated. Lastly, Bill Cosby, and this is a tragedy. Back in the 1990s, he lost his son to murder. And as his son Ennis, who was 27 years old and got his degree, despite his some type of setback in his learning abilities, he was able to go ahead and get his degree. And he was shot to death on the streets while helping some woman change her tire. And the guy shouted the N-word at him as he shot him in the head. And he said that George Floyd reminded him of George Floyd's situation of being executed, reminded him of when his son was murdered. And so he had to say that to his fans. So, that's just a sad situation all around because he's reliving the death of his own son. And so that is the news from me, the first King James from Akron, Ohio, who took his talents to Atlanta. And anybody have any comments about any of the things I brought up today, including Trina and Drew Brees?
Well, yeah, I want to start with Drew Brees, definitely being a sports fan. I know Terry and I don't even know if you remember, but we covered when the Saints won the Super Bowl when they went to the White House. He took pictures with Obama. That was like, I think maybe 2011, 2012. I can't remember the year. But the thing is, he's factually wrong when he says he doesn't, like anyone disrespecting the flag. You being a former soldier, Terry, you should know that the troops, they're not actually fighting for the national anthem or the flag. They're fighting for the U.S. Constitution. That's what they're protecting. And so the U.S. Constitution gives us the First Amendment right to protest, to give out, to have our First Amendment speech. So he's factually wrong. He's factually wrong in his assessment of why he's being mad or why he's upset with guys like Colin Kaepernick, because, as I say again, troops are not protecting the national anthem and not protecting the American flag. They're protecting the U.S. Constitution.
Yes, and you know what? Preach, brother, preach. I'm about to pass out an offering plate because you just preached right there. And because of the fact that I feel like when I served my country, that I fought for the right for people to stand for the flag and to kneel for the flag and express their First Amendment rights to express themselves peacefully. And Colin Kaepernick tried to express himself peacefully. Y'all had a major problem with that. And one ex-NFL executive admitted that there was coercion and that he has been banned throughout the NFL on purpose. And so he tried to do it peacefully. Y'all didn't like it. Now they're out in the streets all over America and across the globe, and y'all don't like that either. So what are we supposed to do? So, you need to make up your minds about that situation. But I also wanted to talk about Trina right quick before we go into the next subject. Did anyone have any comments about Trina and her comments, Cass?
It's just we just keep seeing it. People just need to hush because the internet is swift. And, you work for this career, and in 5 seconds of saying something out of, either ignorance or just, I don't know. I mean, like I keep saying, educate yourselves. Stop speaking before you educate yourself on what is actually going on. And, not surface level. You have to really dig deep into the history of our country and what has happened, the oppression of our people in this country. And, like we're discussing, our country was, we're supposed to be all equal. Literally, we are all supposed to be equal in the eyes of our country and these documents, the Constitution, everything. But that's not happening, as we see continually. So there are deeper issues that people are not, seeing surface level. And it's not really about the looting, So people are speaking out on what they see just right now on social media.
Exactly. Roman, do you have anything you want to contribute?
I just think it's sad only because what we've noticed is you can get lit up socially. I think a lot of people don't know how to respond. That might be something, King James. A lot of people don't know how to respond. I know I'm very cautious of, I actually read over everything I'm about to post or tweet because I don't know what the world is going to respond to it. I feel bad for her, but I think like Cass in the City said, it's an educational thing. Like if you just don't know, shut up. Like that's
And if you have a platform, you could easily be discussing voting. Something easy that we should all be doing, exercising our right to vote. That is something easy that you can post. You don't have to put your opinion into it. It can literally just be something like take action. And that's it. People really are just putting their opinion to things. It can be as easy as justice for George Floyd, justice for Breonna Taylor, justice for Ahmaud Arbery and all these other people. It doesn't have to be people are animals. Like, why would you even say that out of your mouth?
I know. And one of the things that Romeo, I'm sorry, Amir, just right quick. One of the things that Romeo brought up that Melinda Johnson, our accounting manager, our office manager, she told me one time, she said, when you are angry and you are about to send an email or a tweet, pause, walk away. And that before you hit send, when you are angry, pause, get up, walk away and come back. And then press send if you are convicted in what you're about to say, because a lot of people are saying something and they're pressing send, and then they are not ready for the heat. So that's a good point.
They're not ready.
So I definitely want us to circle back to these conversations because definitely important, and we want to continue to I guess tackle these subjects. But now we have our next guest, our brother Nico Brim. He should be joining us in a few. Just a brief background about Nico, man. He's a strong voice in the community, a young rapper coming up out of New York. Definitely has a good buzz about him. He's one of those artists that who's doing the things as far as he's creating songs and he's creating art that actually speaks to this moment.
Okay,
that's what's up.
But we're gonna.
Hello, what's going on?
What up?
Hey,
what's going on? How y'all all doing?
What's up, bro, man? What's up, man? So we're gonna go into your video, man. We actually got some footage of you speaking to the people up there in New York. So we want to go to this footage if we can.
Save me from myself. If you're not here for justice, this rally isn't for you. If you're not about freedom, this rally isn't for you. And if you're not about addressing the elephant in the room, this rally isn't for you. The looting and rioting is only reactionary to the destructive force, racism, and systematic oppression has been used to terrorize generation after generation and after generation. Nobody likes the mirror.
Black Lives Matter is when you go to sleep. Black Lives Matter is when you wake up. But let me tell you this right now. We will never get rid of racism, but you won't lynch another black man or black woman.
It's a hard
man. So powerful stuff, man. So I want you to take us back to that moment. You were actually called to do to speak during a rally up in New York. Was it Yonkers, New York? I want to make sure I got the location right.
Mount Vernon, New York.
Okay, Mount Vernon. Okay, so just give us some information about the rally and how it all came together.
Yeah, so the rally was brought together by the city. Actually, I got reached out to by city council and the commissioner David Clark, and they reached out to me and they were looking to stand in solidarity with Mount Vernon, but also at the same time we want to hold Mount Vernon accountable for the way systematic oppression has entered our own community. And so I saw it as an opportunity for young voices like myself to really use their platforms, because if you see everybody out there, man, they're really losing their lives, and I know that I can extend an extra post. I know I can be present to speak publicly. I've already done performing. So, you know, it was just really about utilizing it and being a change in my city, you know?
Definitely. Mount Vernon is a little because for people who never been to Mount Vernon, it's kind of is outside of actually the actual city of New York. So can you give us a kind of a walkthrough of what Mount Vernon is like, and what's the pulse been like so far when it comes to protests?
Yeah, so Mount Vernon is one of the few not gentrified areas still, you know, in and around New York City. Is very, very Black, predominantly Black. You know, to our police enforcement, everyone is, you know, Black, and I think that right now is the tension is very heavy. You know, we have in Mount Vernon have always experienced, you know, run-ins with the police, and the police have always, well, not always, but they've been using their misusing their power. So I think in Mount Vernon it hit home, especially. And you know, I think that, you know, we feel just like everywhere else, like, you know, no justice, no peace.
Definitely. Romeo?
My question more pertains to you and actually taking it upon yourself as an artist and a young artist to put that weight on your shoulders. Do you understand or why other young artists aren't taking that step? Like, you know, because a lot of artists, and I'm not saying they should carry the weight, but you know, a lot of artists, you know, are not as well knowledgeable, but they have a fear of actually taking that step for their voice to be heard. How do you feel about that?
You know, I think that fear is subconscious and generational, because when you look at Black men in general that use their platform for this, a lot of times they are murdered, or they are, you know, prosecuted, or they are persecuted by media. So I think that a lot of us that are coming up who are aware, there's a big fear that comes with that. You know, it's like sometimes to stand for your people in a way that really fights for true, you know, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and not being void of all three, it might come with a couple sacrifices. And we've seen Kaepernick, and we've seen a lot of these men while we were coming up, you know, be targeted, you know what I mean? And I think that that's really what's scaring us. You know, like, that's the thing. It's like, damn, if I step out there, you know, how will the world receive me, and how will they take my picture? And because you see again and again through mass media how they keep flipping, you know, the script. So I think that that's the main thing.
Cassie?
Yeah, I just, you know, to extend on that point, you know, you took it upon yourself to, you know, use your platform and to get in front of this crowd, right? So how did you determine what you were going to say when you got up there? When you got up there, you know, how did you figure out this is a speech I want to give to speak my truth? You know, how did that come to you? Because that may not have been easy for you. You know, your form of communication is through music. So to use your voice and to, you know, eloquently, you know, speak to your people, how did you do that?
You know, I really just feel like I'm moved the same way, like in music, I'm just moved by spirit. I think that part of, if you, you know, if you really are a musician and take your art seriously, you understand that you have a platform and that you do have certain responsibility. So I just feel like I'm acting in the vein of all the people that truly represent hip hop culture, you know, and I just felt that, you know, I was looking, you know, to, you know, Chuck D, you know, I was looking to Talib, I was looking to Common and Kendrick and so on. And I think that I was just picking up a lot from what they were saying. And I, you know, like the speech that I had, it was an emphasis around being a narrator, because, you know, in this day and age, a lot of what's going on in our community is being misrepresented. And I think that with the power of the phone and with the power of just sharing information amongst each other, you know, there's a great way that we can tell our story. And when we do tell our story, we see all the different countries and all the different people around the world that stand in solidarity with us. So, you know.
You were pretty much raised in the music and entertainment industry. Can you talk about your parents and how they first who they are and pretty much how they guided you as you made your way through the industry?
Yeah, so my mother is Misa Hilton, and my father is Jojo Brim. My mother, Misa Hilton, is a fashion stylist, icon. My father is a music executive as well as, you know, manager, among many others, you know, titles. But I think that, you know, my parents, I was, you know, blessed. It's like similar to being a carpenter's son. I understood the in and outs very early. I understood that it ran through my veins, and I understood that I wanted to be a part of it. So, you know, I think that when I see what my mom has done for, you know, women and liberating women through their fashion, or even seeing what my father has done, you know, with Black acts, I think that I always felt that I should, you know, help to uplift and help move the culture forward the same way that they did. So, you know, like seeing my parents be torchbearers, you know, through their life, I just want to be a torchbearer the same way.
Definitely. And you also have, is it a podcast, or what are you doing that's happening on Juneteenth?
Oh yeah, so starting on Juneteenth, I'm gonna have 7 days of interviewing called the Power Hour. So pretty much, you know, with all the people that I've come across and all the people that I've, you know, linked up with throughout the industry who have, you know, platforms and power, I want to sit down and create discussions around, you know, art, community, education, current climate, you know, future steps. But I just feel that the best and most important thing we could do at this time is share the information. So I just want to use my platform to, you know, link like minds and just start having these conversations for everyone else to see and for everyone else to educate us in conversation and for us to educate. So, you know, I just want to create a give and take.
Definitely. And why did you choose the date Juneteenth? Because that's a very important date for Black America.
Yeah, absolutely. I chose Juneteenth because I want people to understand that, like, you know, we can be the change. This is going to be the last year that I think Juneteenth is not recognized on a national scale by our people. And so I want to be part in catapulting it forward. Like, man, that July 4th is not, you know, I'm just ready to create something for us, and I'm ready to stand something for us. And I'm like, yo, the best way we could do is we got to tell them, yo, we 20, we 22, and we feel the same way. You feel me?
That's what's up.
Definitely. Romeo.
No, man, I'm very impressed, man. A lot of people don't. Just the fact that you're using your voice, because you know you're a dope artist, but just the fact that you said, okay, I'm gonna take my voice and I'm gonna make my voice heard, and I'm gonna let their voice be heard. I think that's amazing, man. Because a lot of people don't take that step, bro. A lot of people don't take that step.
You know, I think, like, for me, it was a lot of it had to do with, I went on tour with a Rhapsody on her Black Woman Created This tour. And when we were on tour, and that was my first tour too, and we got to travel the country, and that's when I understood the power of my voice. So it was crazy, you know, like, because that happened right before this, and I'm seeing, you know, how I'm connecting to everybody and how I'm doing it through my music. And so I had to sit there and be like, man, yo, there's no excuse. There's really no excuse, man. Yo, 8 minutes, 9 minutes on George Floyd's neck. You know, I can sit, and when I sit here and I do a set in front of thousands of people for 20 minutes, I can speak 5 minutes, you know, for my people. And I think a lot of people need to look at it that way. We take all this time rehearsing and setting up cues and doing X, Y, and Z. It's just important for people to see that we care. Like, just see it.
Right.
Definitely. And before we let you go, man, you have a project that's coming out. Let us know about the project that you have that you're planning.
Yeah, it's called The King Has No Crown. Executive produced by Rhapsody. It's coming actually this summer in 2020, and is you know, it's another big conversation that I look forward to having. But I want the music to speak for itself.
Definitely. And before we let you go, just your Instagram handle or where we can follow you.
Oh yeah, I go by Nico Brim on all social media handles. That's NIKO BRIM, NIKO BRIM, and that's on my platforms at Spotify, Apple Music, Instagram, and such.
There
What's
we go,
up,
man.
Nico? How are you? Munch and Steve, CEO, rolling out. I need a favor from you because many young brothers don't get to salute their dad, don't have a dad in their house. It's getting ready to be Father's Day. So I need a 1 minute right here on Rolling Out AM Live on speaking on just father, how important fatherhood is, and, you know, like, thank you, Dad. Can I get 1 minute live? Because we need that inspiration. And, you know, our brother George Floyd was a father.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I want to say to my father and to all the Black men that, you know, stand with their sons, you know, I want to say thank you. To my father, I feel like that was a guiding light that changed my life, honestly. You know, I look at some of my friends that, you know, weren't necessarily blessed to have, you know, their father in their lives. And I'm just very appreciative. Like, you know, there's nothing like a Black man raising a Black man. And I appreciate all the queens that raise us. But, you know, there's a certain connection and there's a certain understanding. and there's a certain guidance. So, you know, I've always appreciated it coming from Mount Vernon. I have had, you know, like strong Black men around, you know, to represent for me. So I appreciate them because they pave a lot of way. Like I'm saying, you know, to Romeo, to AR, to you, Mr. Steed, I'm looking at all of y'all as inspiration. And I'm sure, you know, you guys can relate to the generations prior. So to my Black fathers, I say thank you. Thank you for always being in war, because, you know, you can't be Black for 8 hours and go home and take off your uniform. So I thank y'all for standing with us 24/7 and making it happen.
Big up. Thanks to you. Thank you, Dad. Thanks to Kevin Lyles, to all of you. Continue to be a guiding light, because I like the lightning that you're sparking every day in the minds of those individuals whose voices are often not respected. We respect you here at Rolling Out AM, and keep that movement alive. Bam! We're Rolling Out AM. Nico! Bam!
Guys, y'all all have a great one, man.
Thank you, man. Too, peace. Woo! Rolling Out AM. The wake up call. You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it.
That's what it is, man. We definitely need more artists to step forward during this moment. As we talked about it earlier, a lot of artists don't really know what to say, but sometimes you just need to stand with the people. If you don't really understand how to attack this thing or approach this thing, stand with the people and don't say anything that's going to get you canceled. Someone like Nico, he's actually doing the right thing. He's leading the young people, young voice up in New York. So we definitely need more individuals like him.
And like Cass said, go to the basics. Here go the 3 basics. Go there if you need to say something and call it a day.
As a matter of fact, you don't even need to say anything. Speaking is not for everyone. Like some people, like some people like Rihanna, she really ain't saying much. She's just giving money in her time. Drake giving money. So you can give money. You can help out on the backside. You can help out on the flanks. You can help out leading in front. There are different ways to contribute to a movement, and you don't have to talk. So I actually disagree with A.R. Shaw. You know, some people just don't. I mean, everybody needs to come forward, but everybody doesn't need to talk. And then
My point is, if you don't know what to say, just stand with the people. Like you stand. Yeah. You don't have to say anything. And my thing is, and I wanted to say this earlier, is that we shouldn't continue to elevate individuals just because they can sing well, they can dance well, or just because they have social media followers. That doesn't equate to real knowledge. So, you know, in these times, people are being exposed. You know, just because you can have a good lyric doesn't mean that you understand the basic laws of America. Doesn't really understand how to address the plight of Black America. So we have to stop elevating these individuals just because they have a talent where they can sing or dance or play basketball or just have social media influence. So this is a moment where people are being exposed.
Yeah, and thanks for educating Drew Brees. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully he and his followers are listening about what you said about the soldiers fighting for the Constitution and not necessarily the flag. So he was incorrect in trying to go off on his soliloquy and diatribe about Colin Kaepernick and other people who kneel righteously.
That wasn't what he was doing. That wasn't what he was doing. He was literally trying to get himself in a retirement job in the league, holding up the league flag, saying, I will put my foot on the people's neck. I will speak out aloud. Can you guys see me? I am here. I mean, that's what he was doing. That message wasn't even for the public. It was for the owners who have elected to be racist and not allow our brother who created a movement to be on a team. He was saying that to the owners. He wasn't saying that to the public. He was saying, I will come out against, can't you see me? I'll be a great coach. Put me in the box as I retire.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That message wasn't for us. We need to stop saying messages. We need to not accept his apology. He needs to say now, I won't take a job in the future, because he will hold people back. He just demonstrated that he will hold people back. That is his spirit. Period.
He wants to. You're right. You're right. He's definitely positioning himself and letting people know what side he stands on.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
We want to get back to this subject right now. We have our next guest, Mondale Robinson, who's actually doing things in the field, who's encouraging people to go out and vote, who's making sure that the Black vote is counted this during election season. We want to bring Mondale Robinson on.
What's up, Mondale?
What's up, my brother? I want you to take yourself off mute.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
sir.
can hear you, Mondale. What's happening, man?
What's good? I'm sorry I was delayed.
African!
Very, very much so. And America, with all of her hatred for that continent, is ensuring that we are reminded that we're African at the rate they're killing us consistently. What's up with y'all?
Come on,
What's
wake
up,
it
my
up, bro.
brother?
We the wake up call, rolling out AM. We don't hold. I hope people don't think we trying to call them at home. Just say wake up. I mean, we really trying to say stay woke. You know, at
Right.
any moment. You know, you like they trying to slip it in. You know.
Yeah, I hear you, Munson. I want you to know, though, when you're telling people to stay woke, especially Black people, you're basically telling them to prepare themselves to die early, not because of the physical violence that may come along with it, but also the emotional stress and trauma associated with knowing what's going on to your people and being human and being saddened by that. So it's a wonderful call that you're offering, brother. It's just a stressful one. So sometimes I have to caution myself and tell Black, like, don't be so critical of Black people because it's hard as hell, excuse my French, to be Black in America and constantly reminded that don't really mean nothing to white America.
Definitely, man. So Monday, I want you to give everybody a brief introduction about who you are and some of the things that you're doing, because you're actually in the field right now, making sure that people exercise their right to vote and just you're galvanizing the community. So just giving people a little idea of what you've been doing.
Yes, so I am the founder of Black Male Voter Project, and Black Male Voter Project is the only first and only national organization that focuses solely on Black men voting habits. And the reason I started Black Male Voter Project is because I've been a political consultant for probably about 20 years now. And what I kept hearing was these white boys who control the consultant class try to tell me what does and doesn't work to turn out Black men. And while every election cycle they got promoted to a higher campaign or to do more work, what I did notice is their work and their efforts were not turning out more Black men. They were not making more super voters out of Black men, meaning voters that voted in every election. Now, when I tell you this next statistic, it might scare you, but it's a fact. Over half of the Black men in this country who are registered to vote have not voted in 5 consecutive elections. Now, this is not brothers who need to be registered to vote. These are brothers who are already on the voting roll. Now, the problem is most people look at that as a critique of Black men. I don't critique Black men for that because I know voting is a habit that's formed by resources spent on it. And since no one is spending resources on Black men, I don't understand how they expect us to go out and vote. Black men vote for Democratic candidates and progressive candidates and ideas more than anybody except for Black women. So the fact that the Democratic Party is still chasing their white cousins and uncles out in the Midwest, who they've not won in the national election since the 70s, made me upset. So I decided to form Black Male Voters Project, not just for a transactional nature like traditional campaigns. I formed Black Male Voter Project because we needed somebody and something, an institution that was speaking for us and to us. So beyond doing voter engagement with brothers, we don't just talk to voters 3 times, like a traditional campaign or like the Democratic Party. They come by in October, November, give your preacher some chicken and a church fan, and then think they got a whole church of voters from that. So what we do is we actually try to have conversation with brothers who don't vote on a regular, those brothers who fit in the category of, not voting for the past 5 consecutive elections. And in Georgia, that's almost 460,000 Black men who have not voted in 5 consecutive elections. Atlanta alone has 56,000 of those brothers. So we're not, like I said, we're not critiquing those brothers. We're actually communicating with those brothers. And these brothers, so what we do is beyond the voter engagement campaign, we also built our platform off these conversations called Brothers Be Voting. And Brothers Be Voting are closed conversation with Black men where we can come in the room and talk about politics a way that's healthy for us and also productive. So what we do is we don't overfill the room with people like me who are politically activated. We don't fill it with elected officials. We have a few of both of those categories in there, but we try to invite people that participate in street tribes. Some people call them gangs, people who participate in the underground economy, people call them drug dealers. And then we come in and have a conversation about what voting is and isn't. And we don't, it's not us talking at them, it's them talking at us about why they don't feel the need to participate in the process. And from those conversations, we built a platform to speak to Black men all over this country.
All right, man. So I'm looking forward to this rolling out collaboration right now, Mondale. I really appreciate what you say. I'm into KPIs, so key performance indicators, and I think we need to share, you and I, because obviously before you get off this camera, I'm going to ask you to speak to those 400, whatever that number was, brothers who haven't voted, so that they can amp up. I think there's a real issue in our community with people attacking like we got another candidate and a possibility of voting for somebody else at this moment, and might keep people away from the polls. And I think that's sinister. That begins to make me believe that even these people with a lot of intelligence and influence might be getting a check. So I think the KPI that I'm talking about is for us to talk, what is the budget that the Democratic National all funders are spending, not just ad pages, but literal outreach, paid consultants, and we want 40% of that budget. So whatever that number is for the Democratic foundations and PACs, we want a check. Let's not just say we not for Biden. We all for Biden. But we want to communicate with our community with the bread. We don't want you to pay Becky and Amy to get out and say what we gonna do. We don't want Black people that haven't talked to Black people, haven't been in a Black neighborhood, and we're not mad if you pay a small preacher a check to pass out your fans. But we want the fans and the t-shirts and the mailing list to go through Black PR firms. What Black PR firms is a Democratic company? How many Black consultants and founders? We want to see the numbers. We want to take back. We don't want you to find the same people. We're not interested. So I need KPIs. I don't need my influencers talking about we don't know, we don't want the same people. Yes, we're voting for him, but we want those dollars. We want to be able to get those dollars. Because if you're not paying my brother Mondale and being proud about paying him, I don't like Democratic shame of paying Black people. And I hate Black people that give and say, don't pay Black people. Like, right. You're not one of us. I want you to understand, you're not woke. And I don't mind if Black people got stressed. I want us to get some peace and do meditate. Because you know what? Don't be scared. This life ain't permanent for nobody. It ain't a permanent life. And you got to meditate. That's why we start with Musa and then Naste, so you can get a peaceful place to understand. But it's constant microaggression. I just want us to count up, Mondale. I don't want people to be mad that you getting a check. See, I want us to be proud about the fact that they're going to spend billions and they're going to issue out and act like 10 million was a little bit. They're going to over TV, and we ain't checking for TV like that.
Right.
They're going to over this
right
in general market and not be specific to tribes. They're going to spend 10,000 per voter for this list for somebody that ain't never going to vote, ain't listening to you. They're going to parade one Black person versus spending on 300 Black organizations. But I didn't say nothing, Mondale.
The truth, that's all you said.
I want to count it up. Do not be count it up. Stop saying we're not going to vote democratically. We going with Biden. But Biden, we need the budget. Right. Biden, we need the budget.
Yeah.
We need the budget.
Here's what I would say. It's going to be probably somewhere north of $10 billion election. I said 10 billion with the B. And you were being modest when you asked for 40%. I think because the Democratic Party know that they don't need 50, 60% of white voters to win elections. Barack Obama, actually, if you think about, this is the dynamic that scares white people. And I believe this is the reason one of the reasons Trump is president. Mitt Romney got more white voters than Ronald Reagan and still lost by a landslide to Barack Obama. Why is that important? Because Ronald Reagan won 49 states with his white vote count. That number is not enough plus more now to win a single election, right? So what was a landslide 30, 40 years ago ain't enough to win. Those demographic shifts happened, but the consulting class did not. They still use these Southern strategies where they turn conservative white people against, or conservative leaning white people against the need and the fear of Black people. So I tell you right now, asking for 40% is a modest ask. Also, I would remind the Democratic Party and its consulting class is You fail every time. I mean, like, but for Barack Obama, they've not been doing well at national elections. And Barack Obama's strategy wasn't theirs. His was to maximize black and brown people and then take the 27% of white folk that's going to vote for you. Democratic Party doesn't spend their money that way. They spend their money 90%, like you said, on TV. And we know why consultants want to be on TV. They get a serious paycheck off of that. White consultants get a serious paycheck off of that. Bernie Sanders, for example, who's a progressive, used the same consultants Hillary Clinton used, 3 white people up here in Virginia, and they walked away with $54 million. That one consulting firm.
Say the number again. We not
$54 million for 3 people, and their office was their office was a little 2-bedroom house in Arlington, Virginia. Wow. And check this out. And he only spent $12 million on the entire South, which is where the black vote is. So what does that say to the black community? I care more about these 3 white consultants firms messaging than I do the entirety of the black vote. And that's a progressive candidate. So I do want to push back, Munson, on the one thing you said. You're absolutely right. Black people have to vote all the time. And when I hear people like, and I hope this don't offend you guys, but I call out names because I don't want people guessing who I'm talking about. So when I hear people like Diddy or T.I. or anybody else talking about holding our vote hostage, first of all, what you're doing is a disservice to everybody that does this work on a daily basis. For you, a person who does not participate in electoral politics, to tell people to not vote, you're spitting in the face of black organizers all over this country. And you may be costing them their job, because if white donors start to believe you, then they're going to stop investing in the work that people are doing. And since you, Mr. Diddy, with almost $1 billion, are investing in this work, I would advocate that you shut the hell up when it comes to electoral politics, unless you're willing to be schooled by that or about it. So that's one thing. The second thing is, I don't think talking about Joe Biden is a good idea for our community, especially for the population of brothers I talk to, right? Here's the thing. Brothers are not excited about presidential candidates. And it's not just Joe Biden. We weren't that excited about Barack Obama after the first go round, right? So what we need to do is remember that there are issues that are important to black men that will turn us out to the polls in droves. And those issues aren't national issues. However, when black men go to the poll, we know 9 out of 10 of them are going to vote for a Democrat. So we can talk to black men about their desire to put trades back in the public school, which is an economic issue, not a public school issue, really. Their desire to end cash bail, because guess what? When they go to the polls to vote for local issues, black men aren't going to start at the bottom of the ballot. They're going to vote the whole ticket. So our messaging to our community has to be about issues that are important to us, knowing that if they go to the poll, they're going to vote straight Democratic ticket. And that's how we benefit them. But you're called to the Democratic Party and all of these auxiliaries and Joe Biden, we need the check. We have to, because as long as the message is...
We didn't have no disagreement there, Brother Mondale. You got to come on here. I'll connect with you so we can talk about this budget, because they're trying to give peanuts and get the whole purse. They want to give us the pennies and get the whole purse. And we need to stop that. We not just ask for the budget. We are joined by Christopher Bruce, who is definitely a director. He's been down there. He's part of the movement. Don't go nowhere, Brother Robinson, because this looks good. This narrative is good. Christopher, you've been down there in Brunswick, making sure our brother who was slaughtered on video by the lynch mob video crew. You know, they had a crew. The new lynching is digital. I don't want anybody not to understand. The new lynching is digital. Wow. That was a prize, a digital postcard on Snapchat. She should go to jail. She's an accessory to a crime.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, it's great to see all of you healthy and black. So happy to do that. Y'all got me at the talking at the Mondale, okay? I don't do stuff like that. Mondale will go off on people. So good to see all you brothers. Look, today I want to update everybody on the case that's happening right now. Right now, the McMichaels who murdered Ahmaud Arbery have a hearing in court. And it's a probable cause hearing, mostly to see if the GBI had probable cause to do an arrest for the McMichaels. This is a no-brainer. This shouldn't be taking very long or anything else, but you do have to do this for your due process. So yes, I would be in Brunswick right now if it wasn't for the aggressions by the Atlanta Police Department against people who are peacefully protesting. So I've started a legal observer program down here in Atlanta to police the police, basically. We have a lot of volunteers, mostly lawyers, who are taking videos of the police shooting rubber bullets, putting out tear gas, and we're calling them out on it to make sure you, Free people can still express themselves, as is said in the Constitution and your First Amendment rights altogether. So this is what I would leave with you, brothers. There's so many things going on at once, right? There's lynchings that are happening in Georgia, Kentucky with Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, like everywhere. We have to stay hyper focused and don't let them wear us out. Yeah, I've had 4 hours of sleep, but I don't care because justice has to be done.
Definitely. What is your advice to the people that's on the ground? We got a lot of people that's out in the streets right now. They want their voices to be heard. But what direction would you point them into to help with change? What impact they can actually help with change instead of, after the protest, what's the next step?
Well, you said two things right there. So you're saying, like, what should they be doing now with protesting and what should happen after the protest, which is great. I never tell people how to protest. If it is peacefully, if it is loud, if it's violent, whatever, you do what you do because you're down here and expressing yourself the way that you need to. So you protest in whatever way that you feel fit and whatever way that you feel is needed. And that's what we're here for. You have a right to protest. The police do not have a right to be firing upon a civil population. And we have to be very careful about that because right now they're shooting rubber bullets. We don't want to get to the point where they're actually shooting real bullets at you. So this is one of the reasons why we do have legal observers out there. What I want to express, like, after the protest, as much as you are protesting, make sure that you're thinking to yourself, what are you demanding? What are you looking for change? Because you can march for the next 2-3 weeks, but if that doesn't change with policy, if that doesn't change with a cultural shift that is going to happen in our community and across America of saying, we will no longer accept white supremacy as any type of thing. And that goes for Black people. That also goes for that silent majority out there who knows that this is wrong, but they're not saying anything because of it. We need to have policies in place and also have the culture in place of saying, we're going to call this out and we're no longer going to accept it. So that goes along with everything that comes financially as well. You can't support these businesses that are not supporting you, right? You can't go ahead and say, well, we're going to be okay with the education system being skewed because of the way tax allocation goes. This stuff goes deep. So we just need to inform more people about it.
Brother Bruce and Mondale, is we really got to be measuring this racism. Like, we really got to tell people that these companies that are watching and having these things, you know what? If we walk in your company, and even these companies in Silicon Valley, we're giving them a pass right now. Like, we got real influencers knowing the fact that you'll take a song all day and be able to play music all day, and then everybody else that's in your industry is getting dinged. Like, you can't tell him that he can have a favorite Negro. You cannot keep allowing them to have favorites. You can't be the favorite Black person. Y'all got to get off that. You can't be the special Black person. We must have a collective principle. We cannot have companies that make billions off IG and then don't endow schools by the billions this year. HBCUs should not be trying to figure out how to survive when y'all giving them $1 billion on Instagram. Like, if we're not going to measure the money, why y'all posting? If we're not going to follow the money, why are we posting? And I think, Brother Bruce, we really got to get back. They didn't like quotas, but they helped, because at least you knew that you had to have this many Black people in your organization. It's far too many people. It's called multicultural. So you get in there and they got one Black person surrounded by 7. You're never going to win. We can't win. So the CEOs and the CMOs, we need to understand, are y'all with us or not? And I need to know from you, Brother Mondale, what can we do as Black men to encourage at least 5? Because, see, I need to get 5 to the poll that have not been going. I need to be able to understand how to reach with you, because I want to reach with you. I want us rolling together. But we got to lead by principle, folks. If we're not going to tell our community, Brother Bruce, if we're not going to tell and expose and let Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg know, based on how much money he's made with IG. And we got to lead with the numbers, because you've got to endow our schools. You can't sit back and have meetings with the enemy and then not endow our schools, and then everybody post free. I need to know how to reach out to brothers today. What message can we all carry as part of our protest? Because see, if we got 5 more to vote that hadn't been voting, according to you, we might start winning even bigger wins.
And bigger by bigger wins, brother, I hope you mean district attorney and sheriff elections. And people forget we need to be elected. Every black man in a city with a mayor should be voting for that mayor every election, because mayors hire police chiefs. Mayors, I don't care if you're fired.
Ferguson, the first one in Ferguson.
First black woman, a town that is 67% black, just elected its first black woman in 2020.
It's credible.
I celebrate the election of that sister, and I'm crying at the same time that is a first. So I'm telling y'all right now, but that happened because this is not a silo. This is definitely, this is the evolution of the revolution that happened in Ferguson 6 years ago. This is the work that continued and continued. You know what I mean? So we have to know. You asked, what can we do to turn out more brothers? The first thing we could do is the most political thing you can say to a brother who does not play politics is, brother, how are you? What issues most important to you? And what's going on? Our first 4 conversations are just like that with brothers. When we meet them at the door or wherever we engage them, our first political conversation isn't outright or indirect or directly political, because what people need to know is that you're not transactional. If our first conversation is, hey, go vote, then we become the Democratic Party itself with all of its transactional natures. So we have to remember the humanity associated with being black in this country and check on a brother. And just because I'm smiling or I look strong because I went to the gym this morning, don't mean inside I'm not dying about seeing brothers get snuffed out on TV. So we always have to check in first. Our first political statement to a brother you don't know that you're trying to engage should be, brother, what's good? And however you want to greet them. And then after that, ask him what's going on, what do you need in this community, what do you need from this world? And those become political comments. That relationship will undoubtedly become a political person, because you're a political person, and brothers have intimate conversations whether the people believe that we are capable of it or not.
Cool. I am with you. So positive thoughts of the day. They need to bring Cass back in the city. We need some positive thoughts. We got 4 minutes, everybody, so we can go around and give it. We're going to start with you, Terry Shropshire, real quick.
Yes, my positive thing for today is in regards to this pandemic that's going on, and it's simple math. If somebody came to you and said, you've got 30 years left, if you could just stay in the house for 4 to 6 months, would you take it? So I think we need to keep our eye on the prize. Stay at home as much as possible, keep the mask on for just a few more months, 4 to 6 months, and then you can have 30 to 40, maybe even 50 more years left on this earth. Think about the math. That's my positive word.
Yeah, Shaw?
Definitely. My positive word of today is action. There's a lot of protesters on the ground right now in different cities across the world, globally, actually. And this is the time to actually inform yourself about what to do next. Follow individuals like Brother Christopher Bruce, Brother Mondale Robinson. They can lead you the way, can actually show you the path to how to make sure your voices are heard.
Cass in the city.
Well, I'm just going to take, from Carrie and her guests and what they brought to us, just in those moments of frustration, in those moments out there protesting, when you feel yourself being enraged by injustice, just ground yourself and take a moment to breathe. And also, before you get on social media and post something, reflect on what it is you want to say.
Man.
Educate yourself before you put something out there to the world.
Yes.
Christopher Bruce.
Positive thought of the day is literally that. Think. If you think that the reason why you were in quarantine this long, if you think that they're talking about shutting down the post office, if you think that they have these protests and the National Guard being called out with armored vehicles on the street is not part of something deeper, then you need to think a little bit more.
Brother Mondale.
I think my positive thought is just I'm excited that people are in the street all over this country. I would be saddened if there were a few people in the street. So when I see thousands of people protesting the murdering of a black man, I'm excited. So people stay in the street as long as you want to, as you need to. Burn buildings if you need to. That's not a shout out or a call for violence from Rolling Out. That's me telling people, me, Mondale Robinson, other Black Male Voter Project, telling people to be angry because it's healthy.
All right, everybody. I want to thank our guests, Christopher Bruce, Mondale Robinson, W. Mondale Robinson, my brother. I want to say this as a positive thought of the day. Follow the money. follow the money. They want to shoot all the plastic bullets so they can buy more plastic bullets. They want to bring all the army out so that they can spend more money for the army. Don't fall for that. And stop falling for social if it's not positive and for a purpose for our people. If your posts are just for you, we're going to come for you. We've got to change. Change can't be no economics. Change has to be economically. The absence of poverty, we would be our own country. And so we have to think that way. Collective principles, get off yourself. Positive thought of the day. I want to thank you all for coming on Rolling Out, the wake up call, Rolling Out AM. Respect to all brothers and sisters out there. Respect yourself. Peace. I'm out.
Thank you.
Yeah.